Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll be looking into page object and books again today. That's just because I know a couple of people mentioned that they couldn't view the video properly. So we're just going to be going over that. And we would also, so I think the last 1 hour or 30 minutes, someone did volunteer that they would um, be automating one of the features on their board. And I can't remember the person's name, but if anybody else has sort of automated any of the feature on their board as well, they can just sort of raise up their hand and then share their screen. Just to walk us through what they've done, any issues or struggles they're currently going through, or any blockage, then we can then resolve it as well. And maybe if we have time, we can then answer a couple more questions, just in general. Right, so moving on. I know Oyin covered the page object and hooks last time. So I'm just going to be going over that again. And I may not go in depth into some of the explanations that she's done, but I will try my best to just do the little that I can. So when we are starting off with the page object and the hook, so we basically just first of all need to create our folders in the folder structure bit. And the first folder I'll be creating is going to be called the base. So you just need to go under SRC test under Java. If I click on that, click on new, then package, and we'll call these base. And then we'll right click on Java again, new, package, and call this page object. And we're gonna start off with our base folder, and we'll be creating the Java class inside of it called base page or the hooks. We're gonna call it the base page, and we are going to be declaring our WebDriver first of all. And we can already see that this base page class is a public class. So that means that it's going to be visible wherever you want to use it within the project. But assuming it's private, that means it can only be used within this Java class alone. So we're going to be creating or declaring our WebDriver. And thereafter, we're going to be creating a constructor using this same Java class name. So I'm just going to copy that and then paste it in here. And our constructor is going to be taking in a parameter, which is the WebDriver. And we would then declare the driver instance again. Right. So before we move on, the hooks would obviously contain things like opening up the web, opening up the website, opening up the URL. Then also it could also contain things like the driver.quit or driver.close. Sorry, could you give me 2 minutes, please? Just 2 minutes. I will be back. So sorry about that. So we're going to be moving on to, so I think I was sort of saying that what we use the base page for are things like declaring the URL or declaring or for storing your driver.quit or any significant code that you know would be used a couple of times, or any significant method you know will be used a couple of times in your project. So for instance, we know right now that the driver.get, the URL, is going to probably be like a major repetitive step within the whole project, depending on the sort of features that you're writing. So in this case, we're going to be moving this into our base page. And the reason why we also do that is to make sure that your code looks neat. If you need to make any changes to the URL, you know where to find the URLs that you want to be making changes to. They're going to be under your base page. And you wouldn't have to be like going through all your lines of codes, because your line of code in your step definition or your page object could be going to like 1,000 and something lines, depending on the page you're automating and how you're also sort of creating your steps as well and managing all the other files within your project. So in cases like this, we usually just recommend that the URL should just sort of be like in a different file, just for easy access and also for clarity as well. So we're going to be moving this driver.get the URL into our base page. And how do we do that? We are going to be creating a new method. So that's public, is going to be a public method, public void. And we're going to call the method go to URL. You can obviously see that my method name is in a camel case way or camel case technique. So camel case is the first letter of the first word is lowercase. The first letter of the second word is uppercase, and the first letter. So every other and first letter of every word, aside from the first one, would always be in upper cases, but the first one for the first letter for the first word would be in lowercase, while others would be in upper cases. So if you've checked out the video on the Java programming that I shared, we talked about naming conventions and all of those things. So there's no crime in having it as go to capital G, but if you're following the normal Java coding standard, your naming convention should be something like this. So the camel case method, that is how you should be writing your naming convention for your method names or your web element names or your string names as well, if there are two words joined together. So I'm going to be looking at that again when we are declaring our locators and moving them into the page object. So we have created a new method called go to URL. And we are going to move the URL that we currently have here into the base page. So I'm going to store it in a string container called URL. And then I'm going to call the driver.get. And it takes a string value, and that string value name right now is called URL. So basically, it's getting called, this URL container here is getting called here. So instead of having driver.this, something like this, we'll just have driver.get URL. So this basically makes your code looks neat, and it also makes people know what you're also doing as well, and you know when to use what. So now that we've already declared our go method here for the driver.get URL, we are going to be looking into our page object now, and also looking into our step definitions as well, because the base page, the page object, and the step definitions are all connected and all work together. So if the URL that you've called in, or maybe you've made a mistake in one of the files, that could sort of disrupt how your test runs. And it obviously tell you that your test has obviously failed as well. So moving on to our page object, Right, so we're going to be creating a new class under our page object, a new Java class, and I'm going to call it registration page. So it's basically going to match the picture file name and the step definition name as well. So I'll call this registration page, and it's a class, a Java class. And I'm going to extend the base page inside this registration page object. So in order to do that, we say public class registration page extends the base page. Yep, you can see it's also imported the base page right up here for us. And moving on, we are going to be declaring our WebDriver again and also creating a constructor for the Java class itself. So our WebDriver is going to be public WebDriver driver. And the constructor is also going to be a public class. And I'm going to copy the constructor name from here. So this is basically me just defining instances of the driver. Right, so once this has been done, oh, sorry, I forgot to pass in a parameter here. WebDriver, driver, good. So once this has been done, the next thing I'm going to do is to call this method called go-to-URL. So you can see it's currently grayed out now. That's because it's not being called at all or used anywhere within the project. You can see it says 0 usages. This one says 2 usages, 1 usage, 0 usages. So in order to use this go-to-URL method in my page object, all I need to do is to create a different method name, open URL, public. And I'm just going to call the method that I have in my base page that is called go-to-URL. And just in here, I'm going to say go, good. You can already see it popping up here, go-to-URL. So assuming I did not extend the base page here, I wouldn't be able to pick up this go-to-URL method that I have here. And the reason why I'm also able to call this go-to-URL method here is because it's been declared as public. But if it's a private declaration that we have here, I won't be able to call go-to-URL in my registration page. I'll only be able to use it inside this base page Java class alone. Good. So next up, we are going to be going into step definition. So we already have a method called go-to-URL, and this is basically where the value of our URL is getting stored and also getting called as well. If I go into my step definition, what I need to do now is to declare the registration page in my step definition, then call this method called openURL in this line that I currently have driver.getURL on line 26. So first up, I said we need to declare the registration page, public registration page. I'm not sure why I can't import that. I'm going to do the imports manually. Import page object dot registration page. Yeah. So once I've imported that, in my constructor, I need to create a new instance for this registration page here. So this one I've just highlighted. So I'm going to copy this one, go into my paste what I've just copied, equals new registration page. And we already know that if I go into my registration page, we already know registration page takes in a parameter, and it's the driver instance. So in my step definition, I'm going to put driver in here. And the driver being called is also the one that is also declared up here as well. So you can see all of the red lines have been fixed, no longer showing. So that is that one. That is that step done already. So the next thing I need to do now is to replace the driver.get bluesky.com, basically the URL that I currently have here. So I'm going to comment this line out, then start on a new line after the commented line. And what I'm going to do is to call this method that says open URL from my step definition, call it from my page object, call it into my step definition. So how do I do that? I already have my page object instance declared here. So I'm just going to say registration page dot, you can see it's already showing me all the methods available, but I'm going to go for dot open URL because that's the only method I currently have in my page object. So registration page dot open URL. And if I go back into my page object, you can see it's no longer grayed out, it's now orange or yellow in color. That basically means that it's already been used somewhere, and you can see it's already saying one usage as well. And I believe that if I click on it, it should take me back to my step definition. So let's click on that. Good. They show me that this is where this is being used. So now that we've done that, we are going to be moving on to the page object itself now. So we're basically going to be moving all of the locators that we currently have here, basically the locators we have in here in our step definition, we'll be moving them into our page object. And in a normal working environment, every project I've worked on always use a page object model. Page object model is simply where you basically store your web element or your locators, and it makes your work look neat. It makes you know where you need the file you need to go to make changes in. For instance, you can see that we've called the, this is the locator for the first name. I believe we are using it in more than one place in this file. So this is for the first names that says only. If I look for another first name, yep, we are also using it here as well for the first name, the same locator. But if we have it in our page object, we're only going to have it in just one place, and we can call it wherever we want to call it in, or wherever we want to use that locator itself. So how do we do that? How do we start moving all of the locators that we have here into our page object? So if we go into our registration page and we start from a new line. So the way we sort of find elements in the page object, we would not be using driver dot, if I go here, we would not be using driver dot find element. We're going to be using at find by. So that's a Selenium support import that or method that we can use at find by, the very first one. At find by, then you can already see that it's already telling us that we can find by ID using name, class name, CSS select name, XPath, link text, partial link text. So if we go back to our step definition, the first locator we're going to be moving is the one for the cookie. So I'm going to copy the cookie locator, and I'm not copying the double quotes, just the value itself. I go back to my page object, and I already have at find by, and I'm finding it by ID. So that's going to be at find by ID. Put my double quotes, then paste the locator I just copied. At find by ID, private web element. So I need to give this web element or this locator a name. So I'm going to call it accept cookie button. So once I've done this, you can see it's grayed out, and that's because it's not being used anywhere. You can see it also says 0 usages. And I've also made the web element a private element as well. So it's only going to be used within the registration page. I would not be able to call it outside of the registration page. So once I've done this, the next thing I'm going to do, I've basically only declared my locator here. I've not told Chrome Driver what action to perform on the locator or anything like that. But then how do I tell Chrome Driver what to do? So in here, we already have driver.find element by ID. You specify your ID, then you said .click. But in our page object, we're going to declare the element. We've given it a name called accept cookie button. Then how do I tell Chrome Driver to click on it when it finds the element on the page? So we would have to create a method, public void, and your method name needs to be something meaningful. And you can see that whenever I'm writing my method name or my constructor name, my class name, I'm following the camel case method as well. The first letter of the first word is lowercase, and the first letter of the second word is uppercase. So I'm going to do the same thing here to my method name as well. I'm going to call the method click cookie button. And once I've created a method, it's not taking in any value or any parameter, and it's not returning any string or integer for me. It's just returning nothing. I just wanted to perform an action for me. So I'm going to call this locator name that I currently have here. I'm going to call it inside of this method as accept cookie button. You can see it's already popping up. Dot click. So basically, driver.find element by XPath is now being replaced by just the XPath name. And that's because we've declared the locator up here. So this is the locator name, and it's already been declared up here. And all we need to do is to call the locator name in the method and just tell Chrome Driver to perform the action it needs to do. So that's .click. So how do we then use this method in our step definition? So I'm going to comment out this line. And all I'm going to do next is to call the page object class registration page dot. You can see already as, if I say click cookie button, that's the method I just created in my page object. If I go back to my page object now, you will see it should be in yellow. And that's already been used, one usage. If I click on that, then it's going to take me to where it's being used. Good. So that's us done for the cookie button. So I'm going to go on to do the first name and the last name. And then we would then run the test fully. So I'm going to copy the locator for the first name, and I'm meant to find it by XPath. So if I go in here to my page object, and always like when the declarations are all done together, then the methods are then below all the declarations. So it just makes your work look neat. So we have at find by, I'm finding my XPath. And we need to give the XPath a name, private, web element, and I'm going to call it first name. Now that we've declared the first name locator, now I need to create a method for that. So we have public void, and then we have to create a method name, something meaningful. I'm just going to say enter first name. So enter first name. Now I need to call this element the locator name inside of this method. So I'm going to say first name dot, what do I want it to do here? Dot send keys. So that's a dot send keys. And then I need to put in my value, which is what I have here called OIN. So that's OIN. That's that one done. Then once I've done this, I need to use this method name in my step definition. Go back to my step definition. Yep. Go back to my step definition. So I'm going to comment out this line. And then we have to call the registration page dot click. Okay, that's not the method name. The method name is called enter first name. So that's dot enter first name. As simple as that. So this line is basically replacing all of this. So I'm going to do the one for the last name. Then I would then delete all the commented lines, then run the test. So if we go back to our registration page, and I'm going to declare the locator here again. Oh, I don't think it was by XPath. I see by name. Okay. Name. Give that locator a name. And I'm going to call it last name or last name field. I'll just say first name field, last name field, and I need to change this one here to first name field. Good. So we have last name field here, the locator. I need to create a new method for that one. Public void enter last name. And I need to call the locator name called last name field dot send keys. So once I've declared the method here, I need to call the method in my step definition. So we have for this one, registration dot enter last name field. And I'll comment out this line. Delete this one, delete this one, delete this one. So now my code is looking, I'll delete this one as well. My code is looking neat, looking simple, looking understandable. Good. So another thing that I've noticed is whenever, like it could take the page a few minutes to load up. And I think when you looked into implicit and explicit, okay, I think it was only implicit which she looked into. So we're going to try to implement that. So whenever you load up the page, it could take a few minutes for the page to be loaded up. why Chrome driver just does this thing instantly. It wouldn't sort of wait until you tell it to wait. So we are going to try to implement a wait helper or an implicit wait inside of our base page. So right, in this base page, we are going to be creating a wait method. That's going to be public void so this method name can be something meaningful. And then you're going to be using the wait for helper. Implicit wait. So you can see the reason why we have this one in red is because we probably don't have a class file or Java class file for that yet. So we're going to be creating one for the wait for helper. Click on the wait for helper. You should see the red bulb and create class for the wait for helper class name. So I'm going to click on that first one, and it's going to be created under the base package. So under the base package where we have the base page, it's going to be created under the base package. Click on OK. And this is it instantly created for us, and it's obviously created the constructor for us as well. And we can see that the constructor is taking in the WebDriver. So all we need to do is to declare that WebDriver at the very top here as well. So that's going to be public. And I'm going to paste what I just copied. Right. And the next thing we need to do is to declare the instance. And once we've done that, you can see if you go back to the base page, we already have a sort of action that we want the wait helper to do, but we've not created the method for that just yet. So we're going to be creating it in the wait for helper class. Public void, and I'm just going to copy the name exactly. So the implicit wait will basically specify how many seconds we want Chrome driver to wait before moving on to the next step or the next line of code. So that's driver.manage.timeouts.implicitly wait. So we would tell it to wait for 5 seconds. That's the duration. Then we need to put the unit as well. Time unit dot seconds. And we need to put a semicolon at the end. So we've created the implicit wait method here. If we go back to our base page, it shouldn't be showing an error anymore. Good. So now you can see that we don't have any usage for this wait loading. So we can obviously use this in our page object. And where we know that we need it is just before the first name field is getting filled in. So that's after the cookie before the first name field. So we can put it in the first name field method. All we need to do here is to just call wait loading, just the method alone. And if we go back here, it should show us one usage, and it's being used in our page object. So how the method or how the methods would then work is we have given a navigate to the URL. So this is for this one. Navigates to the URL and maximizes this the page. Then I fill out the first name and last name field. Brilliant. Go back to our step definition. It's going to accept the cookie. It's going to scroll down to the element for the first name field. Oh, please don't tell me. Oh my God, okay. I'm using the wrong one. That's not the one we just filled in. Let me look for this one. Okay. So we're going to be running the invalid one because that's the one that I currently just changed. Okay, that's fine. So let's go back to our feature file. So we have our background already. So it's going to come to the background first of all, giving a navigate to the website. We'll open up the URL, which is declared in our base page. Open up this URL. Once it's done that, then, and I fill out the first name and last name field. It will click on the cookie button. We've specified the action here. And this is the locator that we are using, ID. Then we will then scroll to the element for the first name field using JavaScript. Yeah, just here. We're going to scroll to the element for the first name field using JavaScript. When it finds the element, it will then fill in the first name field. But before it does that, it's going to wait for 5 seconds, like we've told it to. And we specified or declared it here. Wait for 5 seconds. Once the 5 seconds is up, I want you to send the keys. And the value that's going to be sent is going to be OIN. So once that has been sent, it then goes on to enter the last name, basically sending the keys into the field. The last name is Odukudu. So it's going to get filled in as well. So before we go on to sort of change a couple of the other locators, let's run this one to see if it works first of all. And we can then correct any error that we might encounter. It has done building, and the one I want to run is the invalid because that's the one that I've changed. So let's run that. Okay, something is wrong. See, it's failing on, and I feel face cannot invoke because we can't find the element. Let's see if something has changed. Let me first copy the website, the URL itself. Let me see what happens when I open up the page. So as a locator for the cookie changed as well. Let's check that. Let's take it. Good. Okay. So we have the ID. I'm just going to double check to make sure it's the same. CN accept cookie. We go to the locator for the accept cookie. CN accept cookie. Okay, that is correct. So what is happening? I'm not sure why this is happening. Okay, let's try something. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here on that 5-second line. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to comment out this one because I think it ran twice. If I'm not wrong. Did it run once? Let me review it again and let's try to run that. And let's debug scenario. Interesting. Still not getting clicked on. I'm gonna try something else. Going to try to use this driver.find element again to see what's gonna happen. And check the page object, finding by ID. Let's try to run that again because I ran the one at the top and it worked. So I don't know why this one is not working. But yeah, let's see. Click on run. See if it clicks on the button for us. Okay. So that is getting clicked on. But then still not finding the one for the send keys. Right. Did I miss something out? Everything looks okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so this has been used here. And this is also say it here. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly Google just to see why that is not coming up. That's weird. Okay. Right. So I'm just going to copy this one. Probably start page factory. And I'm just going to build that to see if that works. Build project. Then we are going to rerun the invalid course registration. Okay. So I think what I missed out at the start was if we go back to our page object, I missed out this page factory instance in the constructor. So we need to add the page factory dot in its elements. So this page factory is used in conjunction with at find by. So if the page factory import is missing, then your at find by is not going to work. So I'm going to go back to my step definition because I commented out this one. So I'm going to delete the one I added. And I believe that if I rebuild the project, my cookie should be getting clicked on now because I could see that my first name and last name field were getting filled in. So let's try to run this one more time. Brilliant. So that is working. So just gonna wait for that one to finish up. Good. So right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm trying to see which other field is sort of unique in our step definition to see what we can move over. So the email address field is the same thing that we've done for the first name and last name. The IT is the same thing. The select is different. So we're going to look into the select. And We can look into the assertion as well. Yep, so we are going to look into the select and also look into the assertion part also. Right, so what is the first select that we need to move? If we go back to our registration, select vegan option. Good. So I'm going to copy the locator for the vegan drop down, go back to my page object, and then I'm going to declare the locator. We are finding it by XPath. Just going to quickly check. And finding my XPath, and we call it, give it a name, and we call it vegan option drop down. You say one problem. There is a problem. So vegan option drop down. So we create the method for this one. Public void select vegan option. And what I'm going to do is to go back to my step definition. Vegan option. So I have the select in here. So I'm going to copy everything that I have here. Highlighted and copied. And if I go back to my page object, I'm going to paste it in here. But now I don't want to use this driver.find element anymore. I want to use the locator name that I currently have here, which is vegan option drop down. So I'm just going to highlight this one, delete it, then call the locator name that I currently have at the top, vegan option drop down, just as simple as that. And what I need to do next is to call this method in my step definition. So I will comment this out, go to a new line, registration page dot select vegan option. Just as simple as that. And I think the next thing I wanted to look at is the assertion that we currently have there. So we have, then a warning message is shown. Let's go to the assertion for that one. Good. So we have this warning message, copy that. I'm trying to see if I should copy everything here into the page object. Okay, we'll do it step by step. So I've sort of copied the locator for this one first of all. Now let's go back to our page object. This should be showing us one usage. Okay, good. It could take a while for this, the color thing to change as well, but it's already showing us one usage up here. And this one is no longer showing one related problem. So we come here to declare our locator, and we are finding it by XPath, I believe. Yes. Private web element. And the locator itself is for warning message. So I'm just going to call it I'll call it warning message. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to copy all of this to make my work easier. I'll copy it, then make the changes, then I'll then decide if I want to add all of this one in my page object or just a few of the lines that will be in my page object. If I go back into my page object, actually, let me see which one is easier. Okay, I'm not going to copy everything into my page object. I'm only going to pick the very first line that says expected warning message, string expected warning message. Go back to my page object. As you already know, I have declared my locator up here, but then I need to use the locator itself within my page object. So I'm going to create a method. Can someone tell me the difference in what I've just done here compared to the other ones I've been doing? What have I done differently? What can you notice?
The warning message, I don't know.
The name of the method string.
Yes, good. I have string here. All the other ones have been void. And can someone tell me why we are using void? I mentioned it at the start. Why have we been using void?
Is it because it's not returning anything?
Yes. The reason why we're using void is because we don't want anything else to be returned. We just want it to perform the action that we are telling it to do. But in here, you can see I've used string because I want a string value back. And the reason why is because we are telling Chrome Driver to locate the element for the sentence for us. Then I want it to get text. So the text that it's going to get for me is going to be in a string format. So it's going to store it as a string in this container. Then it's going to return the value for me. Then I'm then going to use the value inside of my assertion. So we have told it that I want it to return a string. And I'm going to change this driver to find element to the locator name that I have called up here, which is warning message. So I'm going to call that locator here, warning message dot get text. Then you can see there's something else also off. You can see it's still showing us the red, and it's telling us that it's missing a return statement. So whenever you are using Boolean up here, or you're using string, something needs to be returned. I need to use the return statement keyword. So I'm going to say return expected warning message. Yeah. So it's going to return. Okay, maybe I should use expect. Maybe I should use something else. I don't want the name to be a bit confused. I'm going to say return expected. I'll just shorten it. Right. So it's going to be returning the string value that is going to be stored inside this container. It's going to return it for me. And then in order to now utilize the value that is being returned, I need to call this method because the method is already storing it as a string for me. So I need to call this method inside of my assertion, inside of my step definition. I'm just blocking my view. Good. So this line 122 that I currently have here that says string expected warning message, blah, 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 dot get text. That is already been replaced by everything we have here, including this one as well. So what I'm going to do now is to comment this line out. So when I commented it out, you can see that it's telling us that we don't have a declaration for this expected warning message. So this one is now going to be replaced by the method that I have created in here. And how do I use that method? The same way I've been doing it, I need to call registration page first of all. Then I can then access or have access to that method that I just created. So registration page dot expected, I can even type here expected warning message. So that's the method name that I have in my page object. So it's already saying one usage and it's being used in here. So that is how I would use the locator in my step definition and also call it in my, how I would move the locator to my page object, then call it into my step definition when I'm doing an assertion. So let me see if we have, okay, we've done this one as well. So let's try to review the project. So you would notice that I did not change the other one that says select, select, select. That's because the way you move the locators and then call the method is what I have done for the first name and the last name field and also the cookie as well. So you can obviously try that out yourself, move the locators in here, create a method with a meaningful name, and call the method in your step definition. So that is how all of these files are sort of interconnected. So I'm going to rebuild the project, then run the test fully, and let's see if it passes. So we are running the invalid course registration. Click on run. You can see it's already filling out all of the fields. It's picked on the vegan option. And then it's done the assertion for us as well. So the test is passing. All of our locators are getting clicked on, getting selected. And that is just what you need to do in terms of the base page, the page object, and how you need to use them as well. So I think I'm just going to stop the class here today, answer any questions we have. Then I don't know if the person that volunteered or anybody else has tried to automate any of the automation stories on their Azure board would like to show their screen just to show us what you've done. But first of all, we're going to take questions relating to what we've looked at today. So the floor is open now.
Yes, wait. Sorry, I just want to know if you want to close the browser, how are you going to do it, please?
I think that's going to be done with books. And let me see, where do we have that? Where do we have that? Hold on. So we can actually, we don't have to use hooks. We can, let me see the step definition. So we are already using driver.quit. So all we need to do is to move this driver.quit into our base page, then creating a different method for that one. So we'll probably just have something like public void close browser, and then we just need to say driver dot quit. And once we've done that, I believe we should be able to call. Let me go back in here. Let me go back to my page object and create a method for that in here, because we already have a method for open URL. So I'm going to have a method that says public void close URL, and just call that method that I currently have there. I think it's called close browser. So once I've done that, I need to call this close URL method inside of my step definition. So I'm going to have to replace this one and say registration page dot close. What did I call it? Close URL. And if I rebuild my project, and I run it, brilliant. So you can see it did all of the actions and it also closed the browser for me as well. It's no longer showing at the bottom here. So that's just basically what you need to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions regarding what we've looked at today? If we don't have any questions, does anyone want to share their screen just to show us what they've tried out by themselves?
Hi, Oye.
Hi, sorry, I'm not sure who's speaking. Okay, hi,
It's
Debbie.
Debbie. Yeah, it's Debbie. Can I share my screen? Because Ganiat and Ridwan they've been trying to help me set up my framework because I've been away on holiday. So I don't know if you can help where they stop.
Yeah, but I just want someone to share their screen to show me what they've automated on,
Oh,
or what of
okay.
the stories on the board. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Oye, I'm actually sharing my screen now.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, do I accept this? Because this just came up.
Yeah, you can accept it.
Yes, brain. Okay, that's number one. I'll just show you what I've done and where I got stuck. While that is loading, let me show you. The URL is giving me this, just like what you had the last time, just now. This is not coming up. So I just got stuck here because Oye Philip used a different method. So I didn't know what to do there.
I don't understand. So is the URL coming up at all for you?
Okay, hold on.
So are you going to be running a test for us? Have you tried to automate one of the stories on your board?
Sorry. So I got talked at this I think it's a session, the selector.
Right. So I was asking someone to share their screen that have automated something on their board.
Okay.
I don't want to look into anybody's code just yet because I know a couple of people were talking to me during last Friday that they couldn't view the page object clearly and all of the other stuff. So that's why I did a page object again today. But in the last call on Friday, someone volunteered to automate a story on the board because I want everyone to start automating PBIs on their board and not just the test environments we've been using. Because I
Okay.
know you've done a couple of manual test cases. Has anyone been able to automate it? That's just what I want someone to share now.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be a situation whereby you're able to like automate a random page, but the PBIs you're currently working on, you can't automate it. I just want someone to show me their screen. I can't remember who volunteered the last time. So it'd be good if someone has been able to do that or has even given it a try or anything like that, just to share their screen.
Hello, it seems maybe Kazim volunteered to do it for the team. So like I planned doing it myself too. So I attempted it throughout yesterday. But the issue was I was trying to do the sign up page. Then when I got to the sign up button, I know we need to click on it. I try every possible means. I try all the locators that I can use, but it wasn't picking it up. So if I can just share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your screen. Someone auditioned with the locator as well. I think 2 people. But yeah, you can share your screen, please.
Okay. So I don't know if you can see my screen now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try to run it first.
Okay, let's see what's gonna happen.
Okay, so 1 minute. Inspect. Okay, so is this sign up button? So when I click on this, then no, okay. Okay, so sorry for that. Okay, so when I copy the
Can you click on can you highlight that sign up again? I want the highlight thing to be on the sign up alone. Yeah.
Okay.
Now copy the X path for the blue line.
But that one. Copy.
Yep. So where do you put that?
Click on this one. Okay. 1 minute. Let me just see. I am directed son of page. Okay, so it should be.
Did you try rebuilding the project?
I've done that, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me just, okay, sorry.
Right, so it's looking like it cannot find the element for the sign up. Can you scroll down on the console?
Is it for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Click on the first highlighted bit that says sign up step dev.java ;33. Yep. Right, so he's not able to use that locator. Can I see the URL you're using again? If you scroll up just a bit, I'm just going to type that up from my end.
Moment, so,
Scroll down.
okay, that
Yeah,
one.
that's fine. Keyword dot. Just one slash. Twilight. Something else. So while we are looking into this, does anyone have any other question? I'm just trying to see if I can find a reasonable locator. Just going to use Google Chrome.
Hello, Eve.
Hi.
Oh,
Yeah, this is Evie. I have a similar problem with Emmanuel. I tried running my own login, and I also have issues like this, trying to get a locator.
Okay. Just a minute. Are you still trying to get the sign up locator? Is that where the issue is?
Mine is login.
yes, even me, I have the same
Um,
problem with the login as well. For the
and
one-
who just said they have the same problem?
yeah,
And what's your name, please?
it's George. It's George.
Right. So for the login, I found the locator. I shared it with you because it worked for me. So I'm not sure why it's not working for you. Have you tried adding an implicit wait before you click
Yes,
on login?
yes.
For me, no.
Interesting.
Yeah, hi, Oyin. I also have the same similar issue with sign up, but I managed to resolve it. But I noticed that when I run the test multiple times, sometimes it passes and sometimes it fails. So I'm not really sure the reason why.
Okay. Have you tried using adding an implicit wait just to see if
Yeah,
that
I
would
use an
help?
yeah, I use an implicit wait initially, but that didn't help. So I try using thread.sleep instead, and that sort of helped, but I know that that's not very ideal using
Yeah.
thread.sleep. Yeah.
Okay. I found a different locator that we can use for the sign up, but let me see if the chat box is gonna work. Okay. So I'll just share it with you in the chat for Zoom. Can you pick it up in Zoom, the Zoom chat? The Zoom chat, not Telegram chat.
Okay, Zoom, sorry. Mm, okay, sorry.
And can you increase the 3 seconds to 5 seconds? We can review the project now and try to run. Let's see what's going to happen.
Okay, I'm reviewing it now. Yeah. Okay. That's it, I think. That's it, yeah.
Okay, so that is working.
Oh,
So
that's
it
working.
looks like the traditional XPath isn't sort of working for it. So I basically created that XPath based on the elements that is also shown in the DOM as well. So that was where I got that XPath from, but I just basically created it myself. So it looks like that is the XPath that is working.
Is it possible for you to show us, because of next time, on how you arrive at that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. I can quickly do that.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Just a minute. Right. So I believe you can all see the screen I'm sharing while I read. So I located the element. Who shall I show? Let me locate a separate element. Let me try this one. Okay, good. So this is locating the whole element for me. And you can already see that the different attributes that I currently have, it doesn't have ID, doesn't have name or tag name or anything like that. But it has another attribute called class. It's got another attribute called data text. It's also got the URL attribute as well. So what you basically need to do in order to create the XPath is usually people mostly use the data text because it's got like a meaningful value inside of it. And the data text in this instance has got the value of sign up, which is basically like the same text that needs to be clicked on as well. So all I needed to do is to do the double slash. The A that we currently have here is the main tag name for the whole sign up itself. So I'm going to pick that A. And I have a square bracket. And then I need to then call the attribute called @data text. @data text, and then just basically picking up the value that is already assigned to it as well. So basically all I needed to do was do a //A, which is the A that is here. If it's a div that is there, you need to pick the div. If it is an A, if it is a span, you pick up that span. Then you have a square bracket, and then you then go ahead to pick up the attributes that you want to use. And in this case, it is data text equals sign up. And that's just basically why I put in double brackets. And that was what I said to you just now. So I think the same thing might probably sort of apply to the login as well. I don't know if that's going to work for the login, but people having issues with the login can try it. So we have //a, which is the A that we have here, the square bracket at, we have a data text attribute, data text equals log in. So you can try that one to see if it works for the login guys that are having issues with their login locators, just to see if that works. So that's just basically how you do it. And then there are also other resources online that you can read on just to show you like how to create the expert syntaxes yourself as well. I think the one that is shared from the Lambda test website around locators, I think you probably mentioned it, and I've shared the resources in the chat as well. So you can probably just take a look at the URL, but that's just how it's done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ade Sheye, your hand is up.
Yeah, hi, Oyin. I just want to ask a curious question because I know like it's good to be able to write your own XPath and other elements locators ourselves, but is it also good to be able to use like other third-party?
Yeah, so there are other third parties that can be used, but in most cases, they don't usually, the locators that bring up would probably be like isn't it absolute or relative? One of the ones that you shouldn't be using basically. It brings up that sort of format, but not all of them do that. But I think I also noticed that I just don't really trust it, to be honest. I don't know why, so I don't use it. But there are other third-party element that you can install in your or add as an extension to your Chrome driver as well. I'm trying to see if I still have the one that I have. Okay, I don't have it anymore. But maybe before the next class, I can try to look for a name of one of the locator extensions that can be added into your Chrome. And all you basically need to do is, oh yeah, okay, so I have one called Selector Orbs. I think the last time I used this was probably like 2019. So I still, let me see. It's telling me to upgrade. So these are one of the issues. But one of the selector assistant extension that you can use is Selectors Orb. And I think how it was working previously was a free version. So I don't know what's happening that we have to upgrade. So it's meant to open up like a separate tab down here. And I think it should have its own icon as well. So basically click on that icon, click on where you want to inspect, and it basically drafts out the different types of locators that you can use for that element. You could draft out the name, the ID, the XPath, the CSS selector. If that specific element has got all of those attributes, then you just basically copy it and then paste it into your IntelliJ. So that's just how all of those extensions work. But sometimes I don't have trust in them, so I just create my own, or I just copy from the DOM here. But yeah, there are different extensions that can be used.
Yeah, thanks, man.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, but I don't know if that web. So, oh yeah, just want to know when you run your tests, how to generate test report, please.
I don't know how to do that, but I don't know if only Philip knows how to do that. So we can probably try asking her in the group chat or on the next call that she probably takes up. I don't generate test reports at work. Most of them is like done automatically using the Azure DevOps, which is the sort of the CI/CD pattern that we use to run our tests, and that basically generates it for us. So I don't know how to generate test reports via IntelliJ, unfortunately. That's just me being upfront.
Okay, thank you.
Or if Mr. Adej is on the call as well, we can probably ask him the next time. I don't know if he's on the call today. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm going to be sending out the video for the, oh, yeah, I didn't record it, but Evie, is it possible to get the video out by tomorrow so people can actually try out the page object all over again by themselves?
Yes.
And then in the next workshop, everyone should sort of be up to date with their page object up until where we stopped tonight. And I also want a couple of people to also try to automate stories on their automation board as well. So it'd be good if you can see a couple of people sharing their screen next time. And if you do have any issues with your locators, please share it in the QAG group chat and we can all try to resolve it together and pick you up from there as well. Maybe assign a mentor to kind of look at it, or a body, or if I do get a time, I can also create a time to look at it as well. Let's just direct all of our messages to the QAG group chat for any assistance or any other questions, so everyone can obviously learn as well. We don't know who could be encountering the same issues as you are, and if we put the solutions there, they can obviously try it out by themselves just to see if that helps them. So I absolutely recommend everyone to start getting hands-on with automating the PBIs that are currently on your Azure board. And yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I just said let me try to use this system you gave to us now for my login, but I can't find this particular column where you wrote the data text and the sign off. I can't find it on my system.
Did you do Control F? Do you mean this column down here?
Yes, I can't find it.
Yeah, you need to do a Control F to find it.
Control F.
Yes, Control F. Are you using a Windows?
Okay, I found it. Yeah.
Okay,
found it. Thank
that's
you.
fine. No problem. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, Owen.
Hi.
I was just wondering if we are to run a test for something in the footer of the page, how do we tell IntelliJ to scroll down to the footer? How is this the code we have to write for it to scroll the page to the footer?
So in most cases, if you're trying to click on the contact us here on the footer of this page, so there are two things that could happen. You could just easily locate the element and just tell Chrome driver to find the element, driver to find element dot click. And if that is the only locator on this page, it should actually scroll down to click on it. Or if it doesn't do that, we can use JavaScript to bring that element into view before clicking on it. So JavaScript is going to scroll down for you, then click on it. So those are the two ways you could do that for the footer. So you can either say, find the element, then click, then it finds it easily, then it clicks. But if it doesn't do that, you can use JavaScript to scroll down, bring the element into focus. Once it brings it into focus, it's basically scrolling down as well. And then you then tell it to click on that element.
Okay, thank you. Because I tried to do mine as well. However, I could only access the test environment. Actually, it's not something to do with us anyway. It's something to do with the development. So we used to have the footer, but we don't have it anymore. Like it's gone. We don't have it on our test environment anymore. So I couldn't really run anything, that I wanted to run.
Right, okay.
Yeah. All right, so that's the impediment that I have. So I've not been able to go further. I could only IntelliJ opened the test environment for me, but it couldn't go any further to do
Right,
anything.
Right. Have you been able to raise that with your dev just yet? Or your Scrum Master?
No, not yet. I'll do that.
Okay, that's fine.
Hello,
Do you
Oye.
have any other questions? Yeah.
Yes, please. That same line, what do you have there? Is that act before the data?
Yes.
Okay.
I copied it in the chat, the Zoom chat.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions in general? Okay, if we don't have any questions, I think we'll just end the class here today. And as usual, I would encourage everyone to try their hands on the page object. The video is going to be sent out by tomorrow, hopefully, and can obviously try out everything that needs to be done before the next workshop. And any issues or concerns, please raise them in the QAQ group chat. Thank you, everyone, and have a very good night's sleep.
Thank you, Oye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Oye.